afternoon, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to my audience. We're talking small business on the Prism 4 School of Small Business. My name is Salome Chung, and I'm the CEO of Prism 4 Enterprises. Today's episode is going to focus on my continuing author series, and I'm interviewing authors who have written business and business-related books where they share out-of-the-box strategies, new approaches to business. But before we get started, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave us your comments, share with your friends, share with everyone who might be interested in starting a business or who might gain value from the information that you get on my channel. So today, we have with us Stacy Johnson, and I'd like to call her Stacy Owens Johnson. And she's a co-author of the book titled Caged No More. And the title speaks to, we're gonna free ourselves from whatever boundaries we're in, whatever box we're in, to live our best life. Welcome, Stacy. Stacy is an internationally certified personal development coach. Stacy spends her time guiding individuals, families, companies, and communities to recognize the power of their influence and the importance of the legacy they leave behind. Her focus is personal character and integrity and building your business or family from the inside out. Welcome, Stacy, to the broadcast, to my channel. Please share with our audience what your book is meant to teach, not just individuals, but business owners. Why did you decide to write the book or co-author the book, Caged No More?
Well, I would love to tell you the story. There was a lady one day, I got a random email and she said, I know this might sound creepy, but I've been stalking you on Facebook and I'd really like to have a conversation with you about it. So I was intrigued, right? So I called her and she said, I'm writing this book. I want to put together a book and I want to feature 16 women that are entrepreneurs that will tell the story about the day they decided it was in fact their story and they got to write the story and how that's working out. And are you interested? And I was so intrigued. And I thought, you know what, I'm interested. And so I jumped into this project with these 16 women from all over the world. And they all have a business. They all operate their own entrepreneurial business from around the world, doing all kinds of things from natural healers to performers and artists and dancers and life coaches, right? So many of us, but they all have the most beautiful story to share about the journey that they took, right? We come along in our lives and we build these tribes and these families and these business communities. And we have all these people, but even though we're walking the same path at the moment, we all took a different journey to get there. Mm-hmm. And recognizing that it's okay that your journey doesn't have to look like that journey to make it where you're headed, right? It's okay to find your own thing and the world's big enough. There's room for your idea. And that learning to believe that is so important.
What would you say was a common thread, or was there even a common thread for these businesses when you say they kind of figured out what their story was? And because we as people think we're also different, but we are really similar. Maybe not our stories maybe aren't similar, but our the goal is similar. So exactly. Yeah, who did you find that these women maybe were in the same place in their lives, or were they all working? Were they mothers? Were they caregivers?
They were everything. They were, like I said, they were everything. There's a woman that makes music and she's a beautiful artist. There's a healer from Finland. There's a dancer from the East Coast. There's myself. There's an intuitive healer in the UK. There's ladies from Canada. So they're from all over the world. And I think the thing that resonated with everybody's story at the end of the day was that they recognized it was in fact their story. At some point, they all looked up and realized that they were living in that everyone else planned journey that we have a tendency to walk through in our life.
How did
Right?
you reach these women? How did you find them?
I was not responsible for finding them. The lady that contacted me, her name is Annette Marie. She runs and owns Sanctuary Publishing.
Okay.
She's put that book together, and she's since put 2 more out since then. One for men, and then another Soul's Journey that encompasses another beautiful group of women. So she's a wonderful, wonderful lady, a beautiful spirit, but she opened it up for us because there were so many of us that had never really written a book before, right? We had a story and we had a message, but we had never put it in black and white. And so she gave us the opportunity to work with a writing coach and to work with a publicist and to really learn how to put that into words to be read versus words to be spoken.
Mm-hmm. So how would this, I'm guessing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the goal or the purpose of the book is really to inspire other women who are in the same place.
Absolutely.
To give them the courage that they too can break free.
And sometimes that's all you need is a little bit of courage, or somebody behind you, or somebody to resonate with that goes, they did it. They walked a similar journey. They did it. I can do it as well. And sometimes that's really all we need is the catalyst, is just that belief that we can. Hope comes in all kinds of packages.
Yes, yes. So when the book wrapped, all these women have spoken or have contributed their stories. Where have you have these women continued on their that entrepreneurial path? And are you guys do you guys still have a connection
We do.
as far as say, hey, I broke out of the box, this is my story, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and what are they now doing to inspire other women, or what have they taken from the process that is helping them along their journey?
Many of them have gone on to write their own solo book because it gave them the belief that they could, right? Hey, somebody wants to hear my story, because here's 5 pages of it. Here's 3,000 words of my story, but here's 200 pages of the rest of the story, right? Most of them, all the ones that I have really stayed in contact with and got to be friends with through it, are still practicing, right? I've been able to, through the people that I met, I've actually been able to connect people that I know in my own life with the services that they provide. Like, hey, I met a lady that does exactly what you're looking for. And so to be able to use it as connections and collaborations and come together and work together and refer each other out and watch each other progress. We've had an opportunity to come back together as a group and read our stories online. We've had this live storytellings. We've gone to each other's events, right? We've sponsored each other's events, sat in on each other's events and storytellings to just support each other. And then we watched when the next book came out, we joined this new set of authors. And again, in a storytelling to go, yes, we can do this together. It's cool. It's a neat path.
If you had to pick one person from the book that you would say their story impacted you the most, where they came from, what their story was, how they overcame and started on their journey to entrepreneur business person, without giving any names. Which would you, could you tell us which 1 or 2 or 3 impacted you the most?
So some I've had an opportunity to, like you said, engage with on the outside. I actually had an opportunity. One of the women originated from the UK and from France and ended up in Australia and then in Sedona, Arizona, and then just so happened to be driving through the town where I lived. And we actually got to have dinner together and meet face to face and have that impactful story. And then she was a guest on my podcast. So I got to share her story in a different way on my podcast. So it's been wonderful connecting with her. There's a beautiful lady from the country of Finland who is a remarkable healer. I've gotten to, like I said, connect people that I know and love, my daughter, myself, with her services and watched people get better by what she does, and learning to believe that she had this amazing talent to share and this knowledge to share, and watching her blossom and believe in this business bloom for her. It's just, it's so inspiring, right? One of the ladies is a dancer, and to watch her get to go to put on workshops and bring other people to places where they find that healing and that comfort and movement, and understand that music is such an integral part of our lives, and we are rhythm, right? Life has a rhythm, and we are life. So there's a rhythm to us. And so as I grew up as a dancer, so as a ballet dancer and a tap dancer, her story really resonated with me, just in that kinship with music and as a dancer.
Awesome. I believe strongly that everyone has a purpose, uh, whatever it is. And I guess we're all on that quest to
Right.
find what our true purpose is. So when you do find it, like these women did, it's an amazing thing. The trouble we face sometimes is not recognizing our purpose, but believing in our purpose,
Amen.
believing that our purpose has value, believing that people will respond well to it, that others will not ridicule you, will uh, embrace you in what you're trying to share with the world, especially if what your purpose is not the quote unquote traditional path that
The
most people
norm.
take. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And I
yeah.
think when you recognize that, right, that we all have a story to write and we all have a journey to take, and nobody's is the same. And though you and I are walking side by side, we got a different reason for being on that journey. We have a different thing to do, right? The grand overall designer looked down one day with all the stars and all the animals and decided the world needed one of you. And then it needed one of me. And there's a reason for that. And once you finally believe that there's a reason, then the quest becomes an adventure.
Mhm.
Right. You get to find out. Isn't it what they say? The two greatest days are the day you're born and the day you find out why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It,
let the
it,
adventure continue.
Yeah, it's amazing because when you find out, when you discover the why, all of a sudden it's as if you're glowing, you're becoming
Yeah.
you become fearless because now you really don't are not that concerned with what other people think
Right.
about what your purpose is because
Right.
you have confidence in it, and you're willing to take the risk,
Yeah.
and that's when you know that that's the purpose because you're willing to risk
Right.
everything to make sure that what you're wanting to offer to the world is true, is true and valuable.
It is true and valuable. But we look around and we think, who wants to hear my story? Just little old me, who's going to benefit from what I have to say, right? But look at the marketing of a table, right? One day, a guy got tired of his coconut rolling over, and he took a stump and he put a piece of wood on top and he made him a table, right? Now there's 10,000 different kinds of tables, and there's new ones all the time. So there's room for your idea.
Mhm.
There's room for who you're supposed to be. There's room for your story. Your story is going to be someone else's survival guide, one way or another. As long as you put that story out there, I promise you, somebody needs to hear what you have
Yeah,
to say.
there's an audience for it, whatever your
Absolutely.
story is.
Absolutely.
uh
That's right. You haven't learned the things that you've learned and experienced the things that you've experienced in your lifetime for no reason. You
exactly.
you might not get it yet, right? Sometimes you get it right then, and sometimes you don't get it till way later, and you go, "Oh, so that's why I had to do that."
Mhm.
Yeah, but
and,
yeah, never
and
doubt the value of your story.
And with the advent of COVID and what we all I think recognize that we had to reset or pivot or whichever word you want to call it. Um, uh, People kind of shed their cloak of fear of and in whatever thought or idea you had in your head, people just got a camera, sat down, and started talking about it.
Right.
And before maybe it resonated with 10 people. And next week, 100 more people resonated with it. And before you know it, it's viral. But who knew that there was an audience for
Right.
that until the world kind of forced you to get out of your comfort zone and get out of the cage and go
Right.
do what you were meant to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's such an adventure, and it really depends on how you see it, how you lay it out. If you look at that next adventure or that next thing you see as an obstacle and you look at it and go, how am I going to do that? Can I
Mhm.
do that? Then you already give yourself a 50-50 shot because you doubt yourself from the very beginning. But if you turn around and go, so what do I have in my toolbox that'll make that work? Then your brain takes it as a challenge. And so it's an entirely different adventure on this new thing that you're doing, right? Because it's one of the things that I talk about in this chapter of my book is what's your song, right? As a life coach, as a personal development coach or a business coach, my job is not to get you to hear my song. My
Mhm.
job is to get you to hear your song
Mhm.
and believe it, sing it, understand it from the beginning, right? And so we use this conversation about driving down the highway. Have you ever been driving down the highway? I'll ask you, Salome, have you ever been driving down the highway singing that favorite song on the radio? Right? Radio's cranked. You were the one man concert, best singer ever on the planet, right? Got it going on. Hit that white noise, that in your station, and you think, oh man, and you have a choice. You either keep singing because you know the song, or you change the radio station.
Right. Change it to.
Same thing happens to us in our life. Conflict is just white noise in your song, dude. And if you know the song, just keep singing. And in a minute, that song's going to come back in tune and you haven't changed the station and gone off track and lost your way.
But you know what's interesting as I'm listening to you, it occurred to me that this is really the human story. It's bigger than it's the human story. Whether it's your choice has been to work for someone else, your choice has been to be an artist, your choice has been um, to just be a mother.
Right.
Your choice has been to be a caregiver. Your choice, whatever your choice is, um, it's the human story, and it's a human story because those choices may not necessarily those choices may have been forced on you without you
Right.
having made a choice.
Right.
And now that you are in a position where you know that this is not my destiny, this is not what I want to do, this is not
Right.
my story. And I
Right.
can now write a new story because now I know what my purpose is.
Exactly. I recognize I'm in fact the author of this story, right? It's so easy for us to get up and just exist in this everyone else planned journey, right? And in the box you go and we politely comply. And we
Mhm,
look up one day and we think, what is that noise? And we hear this noise in the back of our head. And like, what is that sound? It's like a bug you can't find, right?
mhm,
And then pretty soon you think, wait a minute, is that rhythm? Is that a song?
mhm.
And then you think, oh, I don't know what that is, but I can never dance to that, right? And then you realize that's the song you're playing to the world.
Mhm.
Trying to change the music, girl.
Yeah. And
What's your
that's not
story?
to say that you know, everyone's choice does not have value, because
Exactly.
some people might be comfortable in the box, you know,
Yeah,
and their choice and contribution has value too, because
absolutely.
because that box is the norm, is what we're used to seeing and doing.
Right,
So some people are comfortable being, there, and that's where they do their best work. But
right,
but when you as someone say, is this all there is? If you're
right,
constantly asking yourself that question, is
right.
this all there is? Is this what I'm meant to do? Then you know that you shouldn't be living in that box. And
Yep,
that's where, flying the coop and being free and getting out of the cage
right.
is I think this book really does speak to that, and the experiences of these women that inspire others
It,
to do the same.
it does. And it really speaks. I think this book speaks as much to what's my story, right? Why am I got all the things around me that are amazing and there's still something missing, right?
Mhm.
There's that, but there's also that moment that they allowed the cage door to be open and they escaped abuse and they escaped, neglect and family trauma and so many different things that they had to break free from to become who they were designed to be, not who they had become through the choices so far. How about that? Right?
Yeah,
Because we all make choices. We are where we're standing today because of the choices we've made up until this moment.
right.
Period.
Absolutely.
Right? And
Yes.
we don't always like that story, but that's the truth. Every decision that you've made is put you where you sit this very moment.
Mhm.
Right? But yeah.
I'm a big I love to listen and read what
Mhm.
other what successful business owners, what they think, what their approach is, what they how they became successful. And I find the general thread with all of these people was that their journey is no different from yours or mine. They were doing something they weren't excited about, satisfied with, didn't want to accept. And so they had to figure out what their purpose was. And
Right.
what they figured out, once they figured that out, then how do I succeed at this?
Right.
And the best advice that I hear that runs through the thread of most of these successful businesses, the importance of enjoying the journey. Once you've decided this is my path, you can make all the money in the world and you're still not happy.
Yeah.
So take a leaf, take some guidance from when you were in that box, that enjoy the process so that when you get to the end result, you don't feel as if, is this all there is? you know
You're
so
right. There are so many phrases that we've heard and that we've used our whole lives through
mhm,
business and through growing up. Like, oh, well, it's lonely at the top. Well, if you get to the top and you're lonely, that's your fault. Who'd you leave
exactly.
behind?
Mhm.
Right? Who
Why
did you?
why do you feel lonely and unfulfilled now that
Absolutely.
you're at the top and you've done what you thought was your purpose?
Exactly. Who did you leave behind? Right? Who did you leave in your wake in your quest? Right? Because it's never just about you. Even though it's
Absolutely.
your
Yeah.
story's not just about you because you're not the only one in it.
Mhm,
Right? Granted, you're the only one that you ever spend 24 hours, 7 days a week with.
mhm,
Right? So you should be your own best friend.
mhm.
Right? 'Cause you
What did
hang out with
what
yourself a
did
lot.
Yeah, what did you do along the journey? Who did you carry? Who was on the journey with you? How many people did you help along your journey? How many people what did you
Absolutely.
do? If it was a solitary journey, or maybe it wasn't solitary, but everybody that was on the journey with you was there for your purpose,
Right.
not you weren't helping them fulfill
Them.
their purpose.
Right.
Uh,
Isn't that the best leader? I mean, isn't the
yeah,
very best leader the one that trains everyone to come and take their place
yeah.
and shine their own light? And so if that's what the business community learned out of this book or out of any other book that they learn,
Mm,
right? That the very best boss that you can be is the person you want to work for.
mhm.
Who do you
Absolutely.
want that to be? Who do you want to
And
work for?
become
Be
become
that
that
person.
person. Yeah.
Absolutely. Teach others how to shine, find their light, bring them forward. Right. That just grows your community. And then it grows it with trust and with love. And it's not, and I think that's what's part of, we have, if you look at UPS, if you look at the fire department, if you look at the US postal system, right? They're fixing to have the largest mass retirement in company history because of the age of the workers that have been postal workers that have been there 20 years, 25 years, right? I'm the end of the baby boomers. I'm 60 come the end of this year. And so in the next 5 years, 73 million of us are going to retire. Right. And
Wow.
what they're finding is that they've had a lot of really good followers along the way, but they failed to train
We
good
haven't
leaders.
created leaders. Yes.
Exactly right. They
Yeah.
haven't stepped in to create the leaders to take their places because they were all like, no, follow me. This is the way. And they
Mhm,
were really good followers. But there's a fear around now who's going to lead.
mhm,
Yeah. And it's happening in big, corporations and little towns and families and small businesses, right?
I remember when I was in corporate America, one of the lessons that the CEO would teach is when you would ask him, there were people who would ask him, how come I can never get promoted? I've done everything you said I should do. I've done everything that, I need to do. I'm qualified. I'm an expert here. And his one answer was always, when you get promoted, have you trained anyone to step in your shoes? Who's going to fill your shoes when you
Amen.
and unfortunately a lot of times that's why people don't get promoted. They're in this mindset where I don't want to teach someone else my job because they're going to want to take my job. But then if you don't teach someone to take your job, how do you
Right.
elevate? Because there's no
Exactly.
one to replace you. So
Absolutely.
it was Zig Ziglar that said, if you want to succeed in business, help other
Other people succeed.
to succeed, and you cannot but succeed in your business.
That's right.
So, a lot
So,
more business owners, should
yeah,
think along that
that line. I think,
that line, because it also comes with a sense of fulfillment, so that when you have gained this success, you're not feeling, oh, is this all there is? You've done something to elevate other people, and you
yeah.
feel a sense of fulfillment.
Well, that's the legacy that you leave, right?
Yeah.
The legacy you leave is more than the energy you leave in a room,
Mhm.
right? It's the story people tell about you when you're no longer around. It's the story of what comes after you're gone. What do your grandchildren say, right?
Right.
What are those people? That's the legacy that you live. So who is that? And
Mhm.
that's important, right?
Mhm.
That matters. I think it was John Maxwell that said, if your ideas are always the best ideas at the table, you should get some new people at your table,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
A lot of times people ask me, um, you know, uh, about leadership,
Mm,
and uh, what what does leadership really mean? And my view is, if you can't be a good follower, you can't be a good leader. Or at least that's
amen.
that's what I believe.
Well, I
Because
believe that, yeah, I believe that that power is influence.
yeah,
Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, right?
nothing more, nothing less. And
The
you have to be open to what other people are saying
yeah,
to you, because we don't know anything. They could
right,
say that one little thing and a light bulb goes off in your head, but you
right,
hadn't thought of it in that way. But someone else can
yeah,
give you, yeah. So I think, when you have, especially when you work in teams, you have to give people the freedom. You have to give the people you're leading the
right,
freedom to
right.
be able to contribute and speak and
And
grow.
then yeah, and then
Uh,
trust them,
yeah, yeah,
let them shine.
yeah,
Yeah. That little adage that says just because you're not leading the parade, they're still going to have the parade.
yeah.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
gonna go on without you.
Yes, it will.
Yeah,
It will, especially if you've trained them well.
right. So, Stacy, I when I interview or towards the end of the interview, I always ask this one question. What do you think? You just mentioned influence. What do you think is your greatest influence? What's your greatest contribution, whether to your network, your company, your
Mm.
employees, your family, whatever, what is influence to you, and what is one way in which you influence the best?
You know, I think that it's the most critical thing that we can do. And the most critical thing that I ever got taught was that if you never, the story that you have to write
Mm.
writes the song that you sing to the world. And the song that you sing to the world is where your dance comes from.
Mhm.
And if you never write the story, if you never sing the song, we never get to see you dance,
Mhm.
right? And there's a reason that you were put here. I had a wonderful, wonderful tap teacher when I was a little bitty kid, 8 years old. And he said, never forget that there's a reason that you live in this world and that you're part of the rhythm of this life. Right?
Awesome.
From the time I was 8. And so I would want people to never forget that your story matters, right?
Mhm.
You're one day, he decided the world needed you specifically, and we want to watch you dance. And I want to see you shine your light.
Awesome. You know, I'm a big follower. Well, he's passed now, but I loved Wayne Dyer. I thought he was an awesome motivational speaker.
Right.
And one of his most, well, for me, it was a very impactful quote. And that when he said it, I wrote it down and I never forget it. He said, "Don't die with your music inside you."
Oh, right.
So clearly along the same lines
Yes,
that
ma'am.
that you just spoke to, you know, sing your song,
Yeah.
dance the dance, uh,
Take the bow. It's your bow, girl.
you
Take the bow.
know, climb your mountain, swim the sea, whatever it is that is your dream and your goal, go do
Right.
it
Absolutely. You were created for this moment.
for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Stacy, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today about how to escape your cage
Yes, ma'am.
and to live your purpose, discover and live your purpose.
Mhm.
Please share with the audience how they can connect with you. Um, and how they can reach you further
Okay.
to continue the conversation.
Absolutely. I am, I'm technology and me are good friends some days, and some days it's like that old nosy neighbor. And I really love my notebook and my pen. You can always reach me at enlightenup.stacyj at gmail.com. And it's just STACY and the letter J at gmail.com. You can reach me there. I'm at stacio.johnston on Instagram and LinkedIn. So please reach out to me there if you want to. I will always in for your conversation. I'm a podcast host myself. So if you want to tell your story on a different realm, please reach out to me for that. Salome, I would love to invite you to be a guest on our show. I would love to hear your story, girl.
Awesome. What's your
Share your wisdom.
podcast?
Uh,
What's the name of
yes,
your podcast?
we have a podcast called Uncaped Heroes.
Okay.
And we
Uncaped Heroes.
Uncaped Heroes, yes, ma'am. And then we have a second one called Midweek Mind Candy.
Oh, wow. That
So
sounds intriguing.
they're fun. They're fun. If you want to know more, please reach out. I'd love to have you. Cage No More is available on Amazon.com. And please, you're welcome to read. Love to connect with those beautiful women inside and reach out to me anytime.
All right. And I will make sure to share Stacy's uh, contact points with you in the description channel, in the description box, I should say, of the channel and of this video. Once again, please subscribe to our channel, and I will share if you want to continue the conversation with me and find out more about the School of Small Business and about wow. And about the things we offer and share with business owners and the strategies and resources that we're constantly sharing. Just connect with me. Also, share this with your everyone in your world and leave us your comments. We really do appreciate it because that is how our content gets shared and is expanded to the rest of the world. So until I see you next time, please tune in to this channel every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, for more of our amazing, what I think is amazing content. And once again, thank you, Stacy, for being part of my author series and your focus on women break free from their boundaries to become successful entrepreneurs and business owners. So until I see you again, have an amazing rest of your week and talk to you soon. Bye, Stacy.
Bye. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Talk to you guys soon. Stay tuned for the next episode.